How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews. Back with a little bit of Homebrew Wednesday. But who knows? By the time I post this, this might not be Homebrew. Well, technically, until you actually sign on a dotted line making yourself a full-fledged brewery, everything you made up until that point is Homebrew. So this is Homebrew Wednesday. Time Materials Brewing. We have a little bit of Suburban Transplant. Now, to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So, Time Materials Brewing, they've sent me beers over the past year or so. And they've always been a staple of Homebrew Wednesday. And this is probably the last beer mail that they'll send me to where they're not technically, quote-unquote, a professional brewer. Like, they're going to be making beer for the masses. So that makes them not homebrewers anymore. So they won't be taking part in Homebrew Wednesday, most likely, moving forward. Which is super fucking exciting to actually, you know what I mean, ride that journey in some extent, obviously. You know, they're doing their thing. I'm just kind of caught in a little bit of the vibrations of what they do and lucky enough to get some of their beer and be able to ride through that and watch them become professional brewers, which has happened before from Neil from Gilded Skull and whatnot. It's just a fun journey to kind of tag along on. So I'm excited to give this a whirl. Now, what is this beer? It's a Farmhouse-inspired peach-based beer coming at 7.3%. It's a Farmhouse-inspired beer built around Red Haven peaches grown on a tree we quite literally transplanted to the suburbs when we bought our forever home. This beer features mixed culture fermentation with a base of Maine-grown malt from Blue Ox. So yeah, let's just crack in this sucker, see what it's got. Peach-based beers. Very difficult beer to pull off. You can get chunky, funky, all kind of weird stuff when it comes to peach-based beers. So I'm kind of curious to see how this comes off. I kind of want to pour this whole thing in here. At least give it a whirl to see if it's pretty clean, pretty crisp-looking beer. Almost like it's not seltzer, but it has those kind of light coloration that you would expect from like a seltzer, and especially saying 7.3%, it's not a huge ABV beer. Label wise, it's cool. It's kind of that clear label with a little bit of black on it. Very cool. I like the font choices, guys. And inside joke, not so inside because it says shit on my channel, but you know what I'm talking about. And what does it look like? It looks like a hazy pale ale, for all intents and purposes. It leans a little bit into that kind of fruited peach kind of color, but it's mainly that kind of yellow, vibrant kind of hazy pale ale we've all come to expect from those New England style beers. But you talk about a farmhouse beer, sure, it looks like the Saison, whatnot. Let's see what the nose has to offer. That smells fun, like super fun. It's peach. It's not peach, just peach jelly ring. If peach jelly ring had a baby with peach Jolly Rancher, if like right in between both of those, but I want to stress this very emphatically. It's not like a synthetic confectionery thing. It smells organic. There may be a slight confectionery kind of characteristic to it, but it doesn't come off like a fruit smoothie sour kind of thing. It's very much a organic, fresh kind of peachiness, just with a bit more volume to it. And a soft little kind of tartness to it. Not really sour, not really acidic. And that's pretty much it. It's very much peach forward. There's obviously a sweet malt characteristic here, but it's not over the top. Smells quite gentle. But at the same time, I think it's going to be purposeful. Let's find out. Dive in. Cheers. Okay. It's so like peach skinny in such a beautiful way, because on the nose, like I said, it's not like it's like over the top, like sweet and kind of candy like, but it kind of dips and drabs around that area where you're like a little bit of peach ring, like I said, a little bit of Jolly Rancher, like I said. So I expected this to be a bit sweeter. We actually taste it. It kind of tastes like peach sauce. And by that I mean if you made applesauce but with peaches instead of apples. It has that kind of soft, sweet, subtly tart-driven from the fruit, not from the beer kind of thing going on, in a way that kind of grape must comes off from a wine barrel. And you know you can only get that from organic peaches. Not just organic peaches. You can get that organic flavoring from grape puree, grape must, though, or peach must. I mean, as opposed to grape, you'd only get it from that. You can't synthetically add this. You can't tweak this. You can't fake this. This is basically a whole heaping gob of pureed or processed peaches. And by processed, I mean processed and chopped up in a certain way, not like fake processed. And that's the only way you're getting it. And it comes off absolutely beautifully in a beer that drinks way below its waist class. It's probably only my biggest knock on it, or most prominent knock on it. A soft grainy characteristic, like a very much like a single malt, single fruit, a smash beer, but with a smap beer, a single malt, single peach, single fruit smaf beer kind of thing going on. And it comes off super low in ABV. It comes off very much like a smash beer, except you're just using the fruit as opposed to the hop. And then it comes off with this not overly sweet, singular grain characteristic to it. That blue ox grain coming through as more of like a beefed up Pilsner malt even. It's not even like getting up to like a bigger malt character. But it has this kind of robustness about it that's a little bit more elevated beyond like a Pilsner malt. And then you have that peach, which is coming through from that kind of processed mustness, from that peachiness. It's tasty, but the only problem, like I said, is it's 7 and change. I want this beer at 4, not at 7, but I'm okay with that trade-off here because it's given me a lot in a very fun way that I dig it. I don't even know what I'd call it, a farmhouse ale. I guess it kind of makes sense to call it that. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's fruited. Fruited ale would be the best way to put it. I'm not going to hate on it for being called a farmhouse ale. I don't think the yeast carries a huge base of characteristic. That's why I haven't really mentioned it all that much. I'm not getting much as far as like impact from acidity level to a kind of spiciness or anything like that. It really is the malt and the actual fruit carrying the day here, which I don't mind. And I'm surprised this is 7. Like almost at a point where I'm like, I don't know if it's really 7%. It could be a thing where they measured the beer before the fruit addition. I don't know. Maybe that watered it down. Regardless, it's tasty stuff. Keith, you're not getting one of these. I'm going to drink the other one in my head. But this is really fun stuff. Really tasty stuff. And just, the whole purpose for me when it comes to the homebrew stuff is to speak honestly and kind of pick at the beer what I think I like and what I don't like. I like the way the peaches show up in here. It's not a 2-way forward to the face. It's subtle, but for the impact of the beer across the board, I think the peach is bigger in this. It would overpower everything else, so I like the balance on that. Like the way the malt shows up. It's, again, meaningful, purposeful, not 2-way forward to the face, but it's in line with where everything else is in the beer. I don't mind the yeast not really carrying any kind of big kind of part in this beer because I think the malt and the actual the fruit are the stars of the show. They should be the stars of the show and are doing a part. That being said, it's pretty much devoid of all yeast characteristics, so a little something would have been nice. Something, that would carry just a little bit of a soft characteristic, a little white pepper, some kind of spice that I think would accentuate those peaches a little bit. And the biggest one staring me in the face is the ABV. From the mouthfeel, which isn't, I wouldn't classify it as super thin, but it's relatively thin. The carbonation is a little bit low. It's homebrew. It is what it is. But it's just, this drinks like 4.5, pushing 5%, nowhere close to 7. Well, I don't mind it. It's probably my biggest gripe on it, that I think if this truly is 7 and change, what is 7.3 is what I think they called it out at. Yeah, 7.3. I just want it to be just lower in ABV because I can see you getting there realistically and easily getting to this beer at that ABV. I don't see the need for it. And that's just probably my biggest gripe about the beer. But that's me looking for those nits to pick All in all, I think it's very fun, very tasty, very well made, super clean, nothing negative about the beer whatsoever. And probably one of the best applications of peaches and beer, period, I've had over the past couple of years. A lot of people go crazy with peach, and a lot of beers go very, very sideways, like I said, out of the get for this review, and this one is not one of them, so that's very much appreciated. So there you go. A little bit of homebrew in the books. Not much longer, but it's in the books. So Time Materials Brewing, go check them out on the Instagrams at Time Materials. Is it T&M? Let me see, what is their hashtag on here? Their hashtag tag us is time and spelled out and materials beer on Instagram. So go check them out and go buy their beer when it hits your market. Yeah, up there in the New England way, these beers come into Massachusetts, so I'm sure you'll see them start popping up. Good breweries doing good things deserve people to buy their beer, and that's certainly the case here. So there you go. Little homebrew Wednesday in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it down there if you want to talk about it. Matt at massivebeers.com or massivebeers@gmail.com. Burps. You can send me homebrew. You can reach out to me, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of T&M right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.